for me. And so I started praying and reading the Bible, and I went through a whole leadership program for 6 months, and I've been doing prayer retreats, and I've been writing in journals, and God has been pleased and silent. Literally nothing. And so then a friend of mine said, hey, let's go to Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, Scotland, Norway. And she said, this is a pilgrimage. Her husband died 3 years ago. So I entered with my friend and I started going in all these places. It was 20 days, 18 of which were raining. I was asking the Lord every step along the way, oh my gosh, what are you saying to me? The last day, the 20th day, I walked in the rain to the Nobel Peace Prize Museum. And when I walked in the doors, all I can say to you is I walked into the presence of God. It was so thick, I was just breathing God's presence, and I was kind of crying and overwhelmed. I started reading the Nobel Prize laureate stories, iPads all over, from all over the world, all over history, and they inspired me with how challenging it is to be a peacemaker, doing almost impossible things with people across history. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that they keep doing it. They keep coming back every step along the way. And then I walked into a room that said how to be a peacemaker. You create dialogue that can create change. This is a literal picture from the wall of the Nobel Peace Prize Museum. And I was like, oh my gosh, God, what are you saying to me? And then I saw create safe spaces for people to actually have conversations that are really challenging, that are really deep. And I started thinking about all the circumstances in School Connect, all the circumstances in our cities that are so challenging. And if we don't create dialogue and safety, we're not going to make progress. And then asking open-ended and exploratory questions. Don't come as if you know everything. Ask the questions so that others can engage fully with you. And I just started to realize that if you don't listen, if you don't really listen to your city, really listen to the leaders, listen to your partners, you're not actually going to make any progress because they have something powerful to say to you, right? That will transform how you interact with them and make change. And then how often do we keep from saying the difficult topic, right? We pull away. We as Christians, I'm sometimes the worst at this. I don't want to talk about the thing that will cause conflict, that will have to engage thoroughly, but that's how we get to forgiveness and reconciliation. So I'm reading the gospel on the walls of the Nobel Peace Prize Museum, and God says, Tracey, you're supposed to be a peacemaker. And it's not like this is a brand new idea to me, but it's like, oh my gosh, this is the next phase, and it's something more. Is it School Connect? Yes, but is it more than that? I believe that. As I walked out, there's this art installation, Forget-Me-Nots. There are Forget-Me-Nots all around that museum, and it means loyalty and faithful love. And I was like, Tracey, do not forget the voiceless ones. You be the peacemaker to build the bridges of that. And so I think about education, and I think, oh my gosh, you could not have more polarization going on in our country over that. The difference between, critical race theory and gender and religious liberty, all those things are incredibly present in education. But if we become peacemakers, then what we're going to do is we're going to start looking for the common good. We're going to start listening to what is it that they're saying that we can really meet that need, right? We can build on things like bringing Christian teachers and supporting them and retaining them. We can bring in Christian business leaders, nonprofit leaders, churches, to be able to help kids not only know, like, hey, I have clothing and food and I have tutoring, but also what am I going to do in my future, right? And so I've been seeing how I want the church to become that vibrant presence in the culture of Babylon, right? We are in captivity. That's the reality. But wouldn't it be amazing if we could say, hey, I'm going to be light. I'm going to walk right in as a peacemaker, have the tough conversations, but bring the best of the church. Instead of the church pulling back, pulling out, doing its own thing, wouldn't it be incredible if we infused all the schools in every neighborhood with these kinds of people? What's the end product? Loving communities, where Jesus is present in the middle of that love. That's what it means for me that I'm learning to be a peacemaker.